Good morning, everyone. So, welcome to class two of Sanskrit, Organic Sanskrit, series two. I welcome you all, and I'm really glad that you're here with us today. So, how's everyone doing? It's a chilly, rainy day in Sedona. It has not rained here for like 8 months, so we're very excited. Rain is good weather in Sedona. I want to talk a little bit about some housekeeping. And first, I want to say that we're breaking new ground here. That's an American idiom that means we're clearing a path in the jungle that has never existed before because we have never taught this before. And we are using technology that is in development. And we have different wonderful groups participating. So bear with us, be patient, and express your needs in the Telegram chat. And I wanted to ask about the Telegram chat. Is everyone able to access it and get your questions answered? You don't have to tell me now unless there's a big problem, but send an email or send a telegram to one of us and we will work with the issues. We sent a homework out. I think it went out yesterday. So I will make a homework for every class, and I think it will be posted in the Telegram and perhaps also sent by email. We will work those details out and let you know. And then I will post the answer key a couple of days later. Wait, I see a chat. Oh, that's the Telegram chat. Yes. And the way we'll mark them is we're planning to assign an anonymous homework to one of you to grade. So you will send your homeworks in. At some point, you will post them in the platform. But in the meantime, you're going to upload them on a Google Drive. And then one of our wonderful staff will send you somebody else's homework to correct, just one, with no name. Then you will post that back and we will go from there. Also, there will be 3 quizzes in the 10 weeks, I think, and a final exam. In order to get a certificate for this course, you'll need to do all the homeworks, the quizzes, and the final exam. So, and we're going to ask everybody to be really easy on each other, on the people whose homeworks and quizzes you may be grading. It's not about getting a perfect score. It's really about working with the Sanskrit and trying your best to understand it in your own way. Okay, so the worldview platform is almost ready for us to use. But in the meantime, we're going to post recordings in YouTube. And I know some of the Good Night Book Club groups had their own recordings and archive sessions in their own languages. So there's a wealth of material for you to access. And I'm going to try to speak really slowly for our translators today. Please chat or open your microphones and tell me when I start to speak too fast. I see a raised hand from Amirta. What's up, Amirta? Open your mic.
Да, можно вопрос? Я хочу уточнить, в каком формате будет экзамен. Это будет экзамен лично вам, да, либо мы будем друг друга спрашивать, либо это будет просто тест какой-то. В каком формате экзамен будет? Немножко волнительно.
Someone help translate that, please. All
Sorry.
I got
I
question.
My question was how exam will be going. It will be exam personal you, or it will be test, or just we will be exam each other in front of you.
Good question. My plan at this time, and again, we have never done this before, so I welcome your input as students in this class. My plan is to just create a relatively short final exam in written form. But one thing we may do as we go along, if there is interest, is to set up study groups in different languages so that people can ask each other questions and practice in between classes. So I hope that answers your question. It will not be a live final exam. It will be a written final exam. Other questions?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's get started. And please, again, wonderful translators. This is a very challenging job. Translating a grammar class in a foreign language, taught in another foreign language, into your language. So we are all very appreciative, and let us know what we can do to support you. All right, can we have the first slide after the title slide, please? Next one. Yes. All right, we've all seen this before, but we're going to do a little bit of review at the beginning of every class, and we'll keep bringing things up as we go through. So here you see all the consonants. The 25 main consonants are in the black. And then there are the 4 semivowels in purple, and the 4, let's call them sibilants, in green. Now, it's important to know how these relate to each other, which varga they're in, because letters of the same varga often influence each other when they're close to each other in words. So knowing the relationship, for instance, you want to know that ya is a second varga letter, or that ma is a 5th varga nasal, because you will use this information later. Next slide. So here is a slightly different configuration, and this gives you some additional qualities of these letters, consonants. They're really organized in many different ways. So here we see the hard letters on the left in the columns in green. So not only do the letters have a horizontal relationship, they have a vertical relationship as well. So it really is an integrated grid, and the grid helps us understand, and that's why it's important to learn them in this order. So the blue are the soft letters. Then you see 2 columns of unaspirated letters, and I'm sorry they got a little out of order as the slide was put up. But the first column is unaspirated, which means it's just an unvoiced sound, k. The second column is aspirated. You see the H there, so there's a little bit of breathing, k. Then the third column is unaspirated again, the fourth aspirated, and the nasal column has a completely different characteristic. We just send the sound up our noses and we say na, 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 and ma. So as we learn more Sanskrit, we will need to know these characteristics. Today, they don't mean too much to us yet, but they will. And when we study Sandhi, for example, which I know you've all heard about and some of you have studied a little, you'll need to know whether a consonant is hard or soft in order to decide which Sandhi rule to apply to it, for example. Let's talk about Sandhi a little. Next slide. Sandhi is one of the main characteristics of Sanskrit grammar. It comes from it's a combination word. It comes from the word sum, which means with. You see sum all throughout Sanskrit, including in the name Sanskrit itself. That would be samskrta, samkrta, perfectly made. I like to translate that literally as perfected through and through with all the elements of itself, for example. So here, sam means with, and the root, there you go, you see a root symbol with de, means hold, have, or possess. So when we combine them, we see that M with the dot under it, which is visarga, anusvara, it's a type of sandhi. It relates to how you combine letters. When we see anusvara followed by a consonant, because we studied this last year in Sanskrit 1, M's and N's. How do we decide when to change an M to an N or not? And what kind of N should we change that M to? So here we have some, and it's followed by the consonant the. So who remembers which varga the is? And take a look at the diacriticals here, or the lack of diacriticals.
The fourth one?
Yes, it is a dental varga, right? 4. If it had a dot under the D, which varga would it be?
Third cerebral.
Third cerebral, absolutely correct. So what is the related nasal in the 4th varga, which is what the belongs to? Go through the letters.
Dental N, na.
Yes, na, plain na. So we change that ma to a na, and we get Sunday. So there's a real life example of how you use or what you see in Sandhi. Now, it can get a little confusing because you don't change all M's to N's. And even if you are going to change an anusvara M to a nasal, you may not change it at all if it's a 5th varga consonant. Why is that? Why would you not change M to N if it's a 5th varga letter following that M?
Because nasal there is M, ma.
Exactly. Because the nasal in the 5th varga is M. So no need to change. So you will hear some people who listen to Geshe Michael's translations, insisting on changing every M in Sanskrit to an N, but that is not necessarily correct. So if you hear them saying that, you can try gently to explain to them the situation. It's somewhat complex. So Sandhi has a related meaning of to make peace with something. So you see how that relates to our changing one letter to another letter so that in the Sanskrit speaker's ear, it sounds better. It enables the letters to make peace with each other. The common translation of Sandhi is join or connect, which is functional, but to me, it's not as interesting as translating it to make peace with. So when you see it, even in Devanagari, it has really become its own word. Just the way in English, we always write Sanskrit. We don't write Samskrita. And it is written in Devanagari as Sandhi. So if you look at that Devanagari word there, you will see there is no M, there is just a N, and there's no Anusvara. So I wrote underneath what you might expect to see, some D, which you would then vocally change to Sunday, but no, it's written Sunday. So Sanskrit speakers think you can't say someday. We can, but they couldn't. All right, may I have the next slide? Here's our verse, chapter 3, verse 25. And again, this is what Geshe Michael recommended us to study, so we're studying it. So I'm going to read it, and I'll break it up into 4 pieces. And I'll read it through once first. Then I would like everyone to open their mics and read along with me. So just look at the Sanskrit, the Devanagari. You don't know it well yet, but just imagine. Okay. Adya me sapalam janma sulabdo manusho bhavaha. Adya Buddha kule jato Buddha putro sme sampratam. All right, so I'm going to go half of the first line and then the other half, and then like that. So open your mics and recite. Adya me sapalam janma. Adya
Adyame sapalam janma.
Adya me sapalam janma.
Adyame sapalam janma.
Now the next half. Sulabdo manusho bhavaha. Sulabdo manusho bhavaha.
Bhava.
Sulabdo
Sulabdo manusho bhava.
Now the second line there. Adya Buddha kule jato. Adya Buddha kule jato. Speak to me.
Adya
Kule.
Buddha kole jato.
Adya Buddha kule jato. Adya.
Adya Buddha kole jate.
Jato. And the last quarter. Buddha putros misam pratam. Buddha putros misam pratam. Speak to me. Buddha
Buddha putro
Sme
Smisam
Сампрата.
Buddha Putro Sme Sampratam.
Buddha Putra Smisam
Это.
Pratam.
Patram
Pratam.
Pratam.
That's good. Okay, now, do you notice, just looking at the Devanagari, any repetition? Do you notice any patterns in these, 20 words or so that look similar or the same? Just look at them for a minute. This is almost like finding Waldo. You're just looking for shapes in the picture. You don't know the content yet. What do you
Yeah. The two lines start with the same word.
Yes, right? And that word is
Adya.
adya. Adya.
Adya.
Exaggerate. Adya. Good. Next slide. It's adya. So that's how it looks. And it means today. So it's a good word. We can memorize it. It's going to be significant in the translation of this verse. And what I would say about adya is that you might want to think about making some index cards. You know, old-fashioned. We do a lot of things on computers these days, and you can do things that way if you have the right applications, if you wish. But consider a plain old-fashioned index card. What I do is write on one side the Devanagari and the I asked, and then on the other side, me English, but you choose the language of your choice. And it's very helpful to learn languages. I don't know if you have ever used flashcards in your past, but you can use these, you carry them around in your pocket. And when you're riding on the subway or waiting in a long line, you can just review you can use it for both vocabulary and for grammar. So I recommend it. Not obligatory, but useful. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Now, you guys just beautifully read this verse from hearing it only. And now we can see a little bit more because I put the I asked here. So let's read it together again a couple of times, and you can connect your mind to the actual words if that's the way you learn best. Before we start, I wanted to mention how to pronounce avagraha. Last week, we noticed the avagraha. And if you remember, it's a sort of a punctuation mark that looks like a big capital Roman S. Wait, can we have the, for example, English translation? Oh, yes, we can, Olga says that we want English words and exact examples. We will get that. I don't want to overwhelm you guys, but we can do that, and we will do that slowly. If you are eager, write me a telegram and I'll make some extra, I'll pull some words out. It's an interesting question too, because in organic Sanskrit, we're not going to go exactly word by word. Some of these words are already combined in our verse. For instance, look at the second half of the first line. sulabdo. That's actually two words, which are su and labdo. And also, labdo is changed to fit into the grammar of this line. So it's not the dictionary version of the word. Adya is, and that's why I chose it to pull out and suggest we start our words that way. But I can give you a couple of words every time, and we can do it that way. Okay, good. So let's go back to avagraha. Where is the avagraha in this verse? Who remembers? Look for that.
That was sme, ask me.
It's in the second line, in the second half, in the middle of the first word. There's a S shape. So what does avagraha signify?
As
It replaces are.
Yeah, exactly. When the grammar and the sound quality of the combination requires the Sanskrit speaker to drop an we drop the and we put this mark in to indicate that there is a missing So this actually says, if you look at the second line and the second half, putro smith, right? Putro smith. It's really putro asme. And last week we looked at asme, which is from the root us and is the verb to be. But a Sanskrit speaker thinks no one could say putro asmi. We can say it, but they don't think they could say it. So they have to say putrosmi. Now, here's the point I just want to make briefly about avagraha, which does not occur that often. But in organic Sanskrit, we just discuss whatever comes up in the actual real life verse we're studying. It's not artificial grammar, it's organic grammar. Here's the point. When you see avagraha, you know it's a missing A. Do not say the A. So if you were reading the second half of this line, you would say, Buddha putrosme sam pratam. You would not say, Buddha putro asmi sam pratam, even though that's what it means. Okay, so don't pronounce it at all. All right, let's notice some things about this verse that we're already familiar with. Besides the avagraha and the recurring word adya, what other things do you notice that you've already studied in organic Sanskrit? And if you're one of the students who has studied more Sanskrit, try not to bring up those things, just things we've covered in Series 1 and Series 2 so far. Anything you notice, for instance, are there any anusvaras?
Yes, in the first line.
First line, which word?
Palam,
Palam.
palam, palam.
Yeah, my drum. Palam.
Palam.
Palam, palam, palam. No accent, just both the same weight. Palam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other anusvaras?
Yeah, yes, the last word.
Last word. And how would you say that word?
Sampratam.
Perfect. Sampratam. Good. So that would be 4 beats. Sampratam. Sampratam. Good. What about, we know about this anusvara goes with visarga. Any visarga? I'm not sure you know exactly what a visarga
It's the end of the first line.
is. And what is that word?
Bhavach.
It's actually ba, ba, ba,
Bha.
bava,
Bhavach.
ba, not pa, ba, like Buddha.
Mhm. Bha.
But it's a ba sound, not a bava. All right, and we're going to pronounce the visargas in our class because, in my opinion, it helps us know when a visarga is going to be in a word. Geshe Michael actually prefers us not to say bhavaha. He prefers us just to make a rough breathing noise like bhava. But in this class, we're going to pronounce them fully, bhavaha, because I want us to learn when there is. And let's notice that in our famous adya word, what kind of vowels are in that word, adya? How many vowels in adya? Adya. Yeah, somebody said A, and there's two A's. Now, what's unusual about adya? I thought that in Sanskrit, we didn't actually write that, the vowel marker for A. But here, it seems to be written. Why is that?
Is this an semi-vowel, Christina? Yeah? No?
Regular vowel, it's the first vowel.
Because it's the first letter in the word.
So 99% of the time, you will not see this character. But because it is the first letter in the line, they do write it, and you'll see it above in the Devanagari. Okay, now, I think you know about long A markers. How many of those are there? Do you see any long A markers? What do they look like?
Manusho.
Manush,
Manusho.
manusho. So that has two long vowels. Manusho, manusho, manusho. Yes, there's a long vowel marker there. Any others? Long vowel A, long A vowel.
Something.
Sampratam, right?
Yato. Jato.
Jato. Very good. Right. Not ya, that's a ja. Jato. Jato. So we're going to exaggerate long vowels, right? So we're going to say jato because they're two long vowels. Great. And I see a couple of other downstrokes in the Devanagari, but I don't think those additional downstrokes are long A's. Do you see any? Do you see any downstrokes that are not long A's? I see one in Sulabdo. Now, at the very last mark is a downstroke. It looks sort of like a long A marker, but it is not. Why? because it has something above the sutra line, right? It's the next to the last word in the verse. And we see ma, long A, nu, and then sho. But it's not a long A, it's something else. So let's investigate that. Pariksha, good Sanskrit word, pariksha, investigate. Next slide, please. No. The next one. Yeah. Okay. So when we sing the vowel song, let's sing the vowel song. And you know I can't sing. So I'll sing it first, and then everybody sing it at least once. I, u, er, lir, lir. A, I, O, ow, Okay, everybody open their mics. Come on.
E, E,
U,
O,
R,
R,
lir,
Ler,
A, I, O, ow. All right, so when we sing the vowel song, we sing A, I, O, ow, right? But here, the gunas, which means strengthened, are A and O, and the verde, which mean increased, are I and ow. So they are slightly out of order. And this is important for two reasons. We sing them together, A, I, because I, the Verdi, comes from A. They have a strong relationship. And when we do more grammar, we will see that A's and I's can sometimes interchange. O's and ows are related in the Sanskrit ear to each other. So ow comes from O. You make an ow by adding the sound, the most important sound in Sanskrit, to O, they say. So if you say ow, ow, you get ow. If you say I, you get I. So those two are related. The second reason this order is important, though, is when you are researching a Sanskrit word and you look it up in the dictionary, this is the dictionary order. And you need to know if you're looking for Eka or Aisha, where to look in the dictionary. So that's important. All right, let's go to the next slide. We know this already. Guna and Birdi are always long. Each are held for 2 beats. A, I, O, ow. But with all those other vowels, the simple vowels, the 5 simple vowels, each one has a long and a short vowel form. How do you know in Devanagari if it's a long or a short vowel?
Downstroke?
Partly, mostly. Let's go to the next slide. We're about to find out.
All right.
Okay, we're going to go through this vowel by vowel. So long and short, we pretty much already know this one. So 2 consonants with no markers between them are going to usually, they're going to be one of 2 cases. They're probably going to have a short Possibly they're going to be a combined consonant, but we will get to that later. And we know that the marker for a long in Devanagari is a single downstroke that has nothing above the sutra. So here are examples. In the pink, you see the word Janma. And if you look at the Devanagari, there's no markers there at all. There is a combined consonant, but we haven't gotten to that yet. So it's Janma, no markers, 2 short A's. And in the red or orange marker, you see long A's. And we already noticed this in the last section. Ma, sho. So when you look in the Devanagari, the second downstroke in that word, manusho, is something else entirely. Let's go to the next slide. So this is long and short the second vowel. So the only in this verse is in the word smith. So that is how do we pronounce it when we recited it? Do you remember? Do you think it is a long or a short You can tell from the ayast.
It's short.
Yeah, short, because it has no long marker in the ayast. And I apologize. PowerPoint has moved the ayast pink circle to the wrong word. That's not how I drew it, but that's where it went. It should be circling smith. Now look back at the Devanagari. You will see after the avagraha a downstroke, but what differentiates it from a long A?
Something above.
Yes, there is a mark above the sutra. Now for a short which this is, the feather, I call it a feather, it's a curved line, goes from its related consonant, which is the double consonant sm, to the left for a short Now look below. There, I pulled this word because we don't have it in our text for a long I. Gita. If you have recently been studying the Bhagavad Gita with Geshe Michael, you know that this word means song, and it has a long E. E, Gita, 2 long vowels. Now, what do you notice about the difference between Smith and Gi?
It goes to the left side.
Yes. So it's a downstroke, similar, but it goes, well, actually it goes to the right. The Smith goes to the left, right? See the pink? But the E goes to the right.
Hmm?
Do you notice that?
No, I see that Schmidt is on the feather is on the, is it before the, yeah, okay.
Yes, it is to the left of the consonant, and its feather goes left.
All right.
On Gita, the downstroke is to the right of the consonant, and the feather goes right.
Yeah.
This is subtle. You will get used to it, but you have to see which side of the consonant the downstroke is on, and you will notice the feather connecting it to the appropriate consonant. We'll see more of this soon, but you know what a G looks like because we have looked at the consonants many times already. So it looks like a little hook and a downstroke. That is the G. Then we put another downstroke after it for E sound. So there's 3 marks to this letter. The downstroke with the hook, the downstroke for the rest of that consonant. So put that aside in your mind. And then look at the second downstroke. That is the E, and it's long because it's to the right. With Smith, the downstroke is to the left of the consonant.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is reading Devanagari. IAS does not reflect this in any way. The only thing you will learn from IAS is you will know whether it's a long or a short simple vowel, but then you have to memorize how to write it. Short vowel, put the downstroke to the left and the feather to the left. Long vowel, put the downstroke to the right and the feather to the right of the consonant that it goes with. I see a raised hand, Elena.
Yes, it's a little bit confusing for me from right and left. If I will start to draw so if I will start draw from the bottom, then it for me long it's to the left and right to the right and short to the right. If I will start to draw it from the line. But what's the correct way how we can decide? It is from the air
Yes.
direction, from the air. We're starting not from the line, we're starting from the air.
From the top, from the swoop.
From the top. Okay, then it's okay. Thank you.
Yes, right. And it's not connected to the consonant. It's a self-standing mark.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, and we will see more of these as we go along. All right, let's go to the next slide. So we have I, u. This is a little different. There is no downstroke involved here. So we see in our verse, the 5th word is sulabdo, and it has a oo sound. It's the first vowel in that word. Now, what do you notice about that? How do you think that vowel is marked in sulabdo? Oh, wrong slide. Go back one. Yes. If you look at where I've marked it in sulabdo, and you look at that sa consonant, what's different about it that might indicate a vowel?
The only one consonant after.
That's true, but that's not the point I wish to make. Look carefully at that sa. Does it look
That's,
like?
yeah, something down the letter, under the letter.
There's a little mark under the sa, and it looks like a curved line open to the left, correct? That is a short U marker. So when you're working with oo, you don't use a downstroke. You don't use feathers above the sutra. You use this little curved mark under the consonant. And there's another one in the next word, manusho. There's a short oo under the na. Do you see that? Manusho. Any other oos in that verse anywhere?
Putro.
Yes. Any other ones?
Buddha.
Jato.
Not in jato. No, there's no oo in jato.
The
What?
before jato. Kule.
Before jato, there's 2 oos in that group. Buddha kule. Buddha kule. Buddha has a U and kule has a U. So you see a bunch of those markers here. Now it happens that there is no long U in our verse. So I went and pulled you a word which you have heard before. And that word is sutra, right? Sutra, sutra. And it means thread. It also happens to mean a verse that the Buddha spoke, as in the Heart Sutra. But for our purposes, it's the thread above the line of letters. So look at the mark under that. What do you see?
Just the other way around.
Yes, exactly. It's a similar curved line, but it's open in the other direction. So the short U opens to the left, and the long U, sort of similar, opens to the right. That's the way I describe it. You may find a better way of describing the shape for yourself. So feel free. Okay, let's see. I think of the long U in sutra almost like a number 9 on its side, but that's just, that helps me to remember. Okay, let's see. All right, so we saw a bunch of short U's in our verse. We know what a long U looks like. Let's go to the next slide. Now this is easy. It's only one letter. It's always long. There's only one way to write it. And I've circled the example for you. It's in the word may, 2 P's. What do you notice about how you mark a long, an A? Is there a downstroke?
No.
No downstroke. Is anything happening above the sutra?
Yeah, it's a mark.
Yes, there's a mark. I call it a feather. It's not an official grammatical term. I don't know what that term is. But you take a feather, slightly curved mark, and you write it above the sutra on top of the consonant that it is going with. So for may, it is right on top of the ma, no downstroke. Okay, is that clear?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me if there's any other A in our verse.
Ule.
Yes, thank you. And I apologize because there's something strange about this piece of text. I did not generate it. I cut and pasted it from a text. And it's in the second line, and it's the word after adya, and it has an A feather marker on top of the L, but it's not exactly in the right place. So I apologize for that. And please think in your mind, or if you write it directly above that letter La. So there's a little problem with that. Okay. Let's go to the next one. O is also easy because there's only one O. And here you see how we write it. We're going to return to the idea of a downstroke, but what do you notice? How is it different from a downstroke marking a long
There's a feather above.
It has one feather above it. Now, how is that different from a marker for a short or a long eh?
As a direction.
Not exactly.
A downstroke. That's a downstroke.
Short I and long E have a downstroke. I. But what is the difference between the downstrokes for the I and the downstroke here?
It's
Because they above and the bottom.
It's before the what?
And above the stroke and the bottom.
Not on the bottom, no, above the stroke. The long or short E has a full curve, not a feather. When you write an I, you're going to complete the curve and point with the where it lands to the consonant it's related to. This is just up in the air. It doesn't connect to the sutra.
Okay.
When you mark an I, you connect both to the I, the marker, and the consonant with the full curve. When you get the PowerPoints, you will see this by viewing it. But there's another difference. The O always occurs after the consonant. So the I can go before the consonant if it's a short I, and after the consonant if it's a long E, like Gita. And O is always after the consonant. Okay, so these are subtle differences.
I'm not sure.
And they can be confused,
Oh.
but they are always
Oh.
the case. Yes, this is O. So here we see Manusho, right?
Manusho.
So that feather on top of a downstroke after the consonant is always going to be in the same place. Do you see any other O's?
Jato.
Jato, jato, jato.
Sulabdo.
Yes.
Sulabdo.
Sulabdo is another one. Exactly.
Putro.
Putro. Perfect. And you see in each case, there's a downstroke with a feather on top of it. Yeah. So a long A marker is just a downstroke. No, nothing above the sutra. An I is also downstrokes, but it can be before the consonant if it's short or after the consonant if it's long. And the hook connects on both letters to the sutra. Okay, and the U is completely different. No confusion there. And the A is quite different because it has no downstroke, only a feather. All right. So I think we're out of time for today. I don't know. Let's see. Natalie said Buddha. I'm not sure why. Was that answering a question? I missed that. Sorry. If I'm not reading the chat and you ask something, open your mic and speak. So that is our class for today, and we're going to finish the vowel markers next time. And I know this is a little bit slow, but our point here is to learn to read Sanskrit well enough to begin translating. And you must be able to recognize these things in your reading. So there will probably be a homework question about these things. And I hope you all receive the homework for class 1. And you will be receiving homework for class 2 pretty soon. And please let me know, and let Marina and Francisco know, or the Goodnight Book Club coordinators, excuse me, know if you're having any challenges. So we'll see you next time. And thank you for doing this experiment with me. Goodbye.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you.